So this is session 4 of 4 for City of Mist, Second Story Heroes. City of Mist, a PbtA, Powered by the Apocalypse, game of noir superheroes. A lot more fantasy and mythic in it. It is a big, gorgeous 500-page volume that, as I have said multiple times, has no index. And we've been playing and trying it out. I want to thank whoever made up the Roll20 character sheet. It's really amazing. It's probably one of the neatest Roll20 character sheets I've seen. A lot of functionality to it, which you kind of need because there's some complicated stuff going on. I think whoever made this up has done a really good job giving us the tools to do this in an online environment. And so if you do have Roll20 and you're playing City of Mist, I really encourage you to take a look at that. It isn't perfect, but it is really, really quite neat. So we're taking up tonight with our group, having rolled out of an incident that occurred last time. And I'm going to try and summarize it as best I can here. The group had discovered that the sort of force behind things was this curator woman. She had two associates with her, and she was using these artists as kind of living bombs. They all seem to be mythic in some way, shape, or form. These three people using artists as living bombs, in particular, using them as living bombs to attack a Greek mafioso, essentially someone in the city who has mafia ties and controls organized crime by the name of Rusopoulos. The group looked into some of the matters, trying to figure out how to deal with this, investigated further, and eventually settled on going to speak to Rusopoulos and trying to see if they could perhaps strike a deal. They did this a little hesitantly because when they'd reached out to Rusopoulos earlier, Rusopoulos had essentially had his concierge attack them, a person who turned out to be a mythic, and along with Rusopoulos's sort of a strike team. Now, luckily for the group, none of that information had gone back to Rusopoulos because they had dealt with that situation with some finality. The group went and split in two directions, with Excalibur and Handsome Dan going and arranging a meet with Rusopoulos, having gone through several stages to see to it that there were no dangers, that there was no particular threats to them, that they were on equal footing. At the same time, how do I best put this? Kitsune and Grasscutter opted to take a slightly different direction. Kitsune broke in. Grasscutter kind of stayed on the margins. And Kitsune was able to get in and put some things together about Rusopoulos, that Rusopoulos essentially is a rift of Zeus, that he has some other Greek mythological figures in his service, and he's not a nice dude, but also kind of put together that the person that they're facing in terms of this curator is Prometheus, the giver of fire, and that the other two who are with her are probably fellow Titans from that particular mythology, and they seem to be after Zeus, trying to bring him down, which fits with the whole mythic storyline. In the midst of that, Kitsune, I don't want to say made an error, but there were certain lapses that were made and alerted, and Rusopoulos, in the middle of the discussion, sent one of his minions to go and see. Grasscutter followed cautiously to do that. And what then occurred is a conflict broke out between Kitsune and Grasscutter and this person who turned out to be a rift of Medusa. Meanwhile, outside, the negotiations between Rusipolis and Excalibur were going okay, but they eventually broke down. And when things went pear-shaped, they attempted to, how do I put this? Excalibur attempted to be more forceful in her negotiations with Rusipolis, which resulted in her accidentally cutting the head off of Rusipolis's son in the midst of this. And that's kind of where we left off. So, John, Handsome Dan, tell me what you getting out with Excalibur looks like.
It's gotta be just kind of scooping her up and you know, he Rusipolis what was his other guy? Not Rusipolis, his protector, or no, that was his son.
Herc,
wasn't it? Herc,
essentially.
Yeah. Yeah, so he scoops up Excalibur and starts running, and Rusipolis like smashes the a table beside him, and just kind of bolting straight for the door as much as he can, over tables, knocking over words not working, gambling machines, slot machines.
Yeah, slot machines. And as we said, this casino that you were in, Charybdis, that they were already, security was already tight, and these alerts and the lights going out at the same time sent people in all directions. And so you kind of shatter out through those front doors and get out to the street. Let me ask Kitsune and Grasscutter, what does your escape look like? Kitsune?
So now that Medusa has been neutralized, the thing is, like, Kitsune is still kind of roughed up and also, like, has been partially turned to stone. Like, I caught a glance off Medusa and that hit me pretty hard. So I probably have to rely on Grasscutter's help to, like, get out down a fire escape or something. Like, I'm probably only as nimble as a person instead of a fox right now. So.
Okay. And Grasscutter, how then you're the person who has to then get Kitsune out from this back area. How do you do that?
I think I summon lightning and blow a hole through the wall.
Okay.
And use my power over the storm to create a huge fog inside the kitchen. Or I think we were in the kitchen, and we escape out the back.
Yeah. So it is big, it is showy, it is visible. People here will assume a gas explosion or something, but Rusipolis and any other mythics that he might have might know the difference. But you will get Kitsune out of here, and so we will cut back to then from that scene back to the group at the meeting place, your base, essentially the underground area with the subway car and the waterfall and the essentially the glade and so on. Let me ask you, Kitsune, what do you think you have to do to start removing this petrification?
I'm not really sure. That's a thing that doesn't seem like I could just, meditate it or heal, God heal it away. I probably have to like reach out to somebody who knows more about this than I do.
Okay. Well, let's assume that the group gets back. What we could do now, I can see a couple of ways to do this, and you can see what you think. We can do like a scene of the three of you talking about how you want to go next. Excalibur's kind of in shock, so she's not particularly reactive at this point. As we established last time was the first time that she'd been shot. It's also the first time she's killed someone like that. So we can start with that scene, or if you want, we can do a downtime scene with the three of you each kind of. We can look at your individual paths, what you do to get yourself back in shape. We can do that in either order. What do you think, Gene?
I think you probably need a quick meeting of the minds regarding what just happened.
And how do you look? I can't remember if you took some hits.
I took a status. I'm at level 2, turn to stone as well.
Okay. And what is that for both of you? Let me ask you this: what does that look like? Is there a visible sign of that turn to stone?
I think it might affect people differently, but for me, it's inside out. So I'm just moving very stiffly.
Okay.
Well, maybe a little arthritic.
Yeah, it hasn't gotten a visible showing, but you think if it had lasted longer, extremities might have frozen up there. Okay.
Sure.
So, Handsome Dan, Excalibur is in no shape to kind of lead the discussion or kind of talk about what happened out there. So let's come in on you. What are you saying as we come in on the trio of you at this meeting here?
So it's the three of us meeting here?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'll kind of just recount, what happened. So Ruzopolis isn't very happy with us right now, I don't think. Specifically with Excalibur, she's kind of going through a thing. I know you guys, you would not have wanted to be at that casino. That was kind of a crazy situation. All of a sudden the lights went out and there was a fight, and next thing you know, Excalibur cut a guy's head off. And unfortunately we got nowhere with finding anything else about this Perseus dude.
Prometheus, yes.
Prometheus, yeah, that's it.
Hey, I think you guys did the right thing. That guy wasn't ready to play ball. He was setting us up. So, maybe it was all for the better.
I mean, I'm just saying, I remember English Lit, and, now that we know that basically it's like Zeus versus Titans, I feel like we should probably slay the Titans. They're not like the most, like human-friendly people. Sure, Zeus is kind of a perv, and you shouldn't be alone in a room with him, but he doesn't go around trying to destroy the world.
Well, we can't really speak for Prometheus or Medea, because Medea did give mankind fire. But who says we have to follow, go by the playbook? We could do our own thing.
I was gonna say, Medea's changing people against their will, though. She's not giving people a gift. She's forcing something on some people, and I don't appreciate that.
She also blew up your friend.
True, no doubt. I'm all with you on that, but we don't have to choose a side. We can choose our side, is what I'm saying.
Well, I think we're going to have enemies on both sides no matter what we want at this point.
We already took out 2 of the Greeks. And, I know Excal is, pretty shaken up, but, the Greeks were definitely trying to set us up. So I think we did the right thing. And, they'll know now not to mess with us. So I think what we need to do is pay Medea a visit and settle things with them. And maybe it'll all turn out. Or maybe not.
Well, we'll just have to find out and see, eh?
Yeah, I just feel like we're going to go have the boss fight now. So I feel like we're not in the best position here. We don't even have our secret weapons yet.
Yeah, we need to level up and perhaps visit the item store and get some herbs or something. Is that what happens?
I can't tell if you're making fun of me or not, but it sounds like you are. I'm just saying, I can barely move my hands, and I've got to make another katana because, that got shattered. And, the woman who literally turns you to stone.
I think we did all right, to be honest. We held our own. It was, you know, we were set up for failure, and you know, it turned out. But we know the difference is that Midia knows we're coming, and is not going to underestimate us. So, yeah, tough break about the katana. Must be tough. Did I tell you my sword is indestructible?
Sure, sure. Rub it in.
It's a thing.
Well, let's do that montage. Let's do that downtime to get everybody back in shape, or look into things or do preparations, and then we can see where you want to head to next. So, Kitsune, do you want to give attention to one of your theme books? Do you want to prepare for the next activity by making prep and creating juice for that? Do you want to work the case, or do you want to recover?
I think Kitsune's main priority is going to be recovering, because being turned to stone and not being able to move as quickly as he's used to is like the worst thing in the world for him right now.
So let me ask you this then. Tell me how Adam fits into you recovering.
Well, I think he's probably like a grad student on Greek myths or something like that. You know, and fortuitously happens to be very familiar with, you know, the legend of Medusa in particular. So I might have like a one-on-one conversation with him where I'm trying to do that thing like in Buffy where I'm talking about the thing as if it were just not like a legend, but I'm poking for something real.
So he's a grad student in you know, works, you know, in anthropology or classics, mythology. Let's say he also maybe works in the museum there on campus. And so, of course, you know, when you kind of go to see him, he's, cleaning, he's got, a cutoff shirt on, and he's been working hard, he's up on a ladder. And probably there's a little bit of that dust motes in the air, so you get that kind of soft focus as you see him. And what do you do?
Well, I stutter, like I kind of like come forward and I'm just like, "Hey, Adam, how's your arm?" Like throwing back to that wound he got in the first episode.
And he kind of looks down and he's like, River, right?
Yeah. I'm in your AP lit class.
Oh, it comes down. Oh, sorry. Yeah. How'd you know about the arm?
You've got a bandage on it. And like there's like a tiny band-aid where it's
okay. Yeah, it was a really weird old friend of mine showed up, and I bounce on the weekends, Yeah, so do you need notes from class? You haven't been in class for a couple of days.
Well, yeah, no, I'm working on that big research project we have due at the end of the semester, and I figured I was going to write about Medusa.
Oh, that's a really interesting. I'm fascinated with the whole mythology of that, especially as it's been done later in popular culture. Big fan. I grew up on seeing Clash of the Titans, on the Saturday morning, theaters through HBO and stuff. So I got a real fondness for that. I actually have a little. Anyway. So what are you thinking about? What's your entry point into it?
Well, of course, I'm familiar with how Medusa turns people to stone and how she was eventually defeated with mirrors, but I was wondering like if there was ever any myths or anything about remedies for turning people back from being statues.
That's really interesting. A lot of later fantastical literature that takes from the source, assumes a reversal upon the death of the original, bearer. Essentially, when the creature's killed, the people who've been affected revert. But that's not in the original. There are some things from some of the secondary sources off of Ovid that suggest that because Medusa herself was made into this figure by Venus out of jealousy, and out of that declarations of love might be, one of the ways to overcome that kind of thing.
Oh, so
like a Pygmalion kind of thing. Yeah.
Oh, so like if, like say, for instance, if I were, maybe you were affected by Medusa, and I were to, I don't know, throw my arms around you and express my undying affection, would that turn you back?
That's one of the secondary sources, sort of theories for this kind of thing. Yeah.
And then like he's gonna like turn beet red, and then he's gonna like hem and haw and kind of bounce back and forth, and then he's gonna like leap forward in like a very kind of like Japanese animation kind of way, and like wrap his arms around us. Like it's like, I really, really like you, like teacher, and like yeah. And then he like turns beet red, and then like it's the thing where it's like he leans back and they look eye to eye, and it's like super awkward, but it's like
and he kind of stands there, he's like, that I appreciate that. Doesn't let go.
And then River's just kind of like, does River feel like he's getting like limber?
Yes,
like that?
Absolutely. They kind of have moved through your own blocks to recover.
And then I kind of just like push a little distance, and I like pat him on the shoulders, and I'm like, sorry, I'm a method learner. I have to like act it out, and then I'll remember it. See you in class. And then he like blushes and like red and like runs away.
And the last thing you'll see is that little bit of blush that he has as you run away. Doesn't say anything as you head out, and you can recover that status.
Most anime recovery.
Absolutely. Let's come to you, Grass Cutter.
I think I might be on mute. No, I'm not on mute. I think Grass Cutter needs to spend time in water form. So he's going to stay at the refuge in the magical puddle as a puddle and slowly, reknit his form while resting.
What does that look like? What do we see on screen happening? And is it in a shower, or do you go into that waterfall, or where are we seeing this at?
I think that it's kind of ceremonial, and so he goes through certain steps, and he begins at the top of the waterfall, turns into water, and flows down into the pool. I think on screen you would see the bare outline of his form slowly, coming together and coalescing in the water. But it's clearly taking a long time, so there's some time lapse happening.
And what is you have to, like, in some ways you're changing yourself, but you're also pushing kind of almost an infection out in some ways, this petrification. What do we see in the water that shows us that?
I think that's a good question. I think the water is turning black slowly over time, but the water regenerates itself, and there's like a diffusion of solid into the solution of the water, and it slowly dissolves. So clearly something's being drawn out.
I like that. And then we kind of see you eventually form back, and you can move with that same limberness. Do you have a particular like fighting style? Do you have a kata? How do you imagine we see you with your blade?
Oh, that's a good question. Yeah, I think that he would. I don't know, to be honest.
Yes.
Part of me is saying it's super traditional, the whole stereotype, but the other part is thinking that that it's more practical, and that he has his own style that is more formless because of his nature. So a lot of erratic moves and that kind of thing.
Let me ask you this, because this is something I don't think we've established yet as a detail. What kind of comics do you draw? I'm trying to picture that make a connection in terms of your existence here and your creative energy.
I think his main title is a comic book called Cannonball and the Hawk, which is about 1950s jazz musicians who are also ninja, and they go around from jazz club to jazz club righting wrongs, and are also badass fighters.
This is a book I would read. That is awesome. I love that. Handsome Dan. I think you walked away less scathed than some of the others, right?
Yeah, I didn't have any statuses on me.
Yeah. So let me ask you, what do you want to do in your downtime? We'll assume that Excalibur says, I need to go. Clearly upset. She hands you the credit cards, says, handle whatever expenses. I have to go take care of these things, and heads off.
Okay. I think he's going to just kind of, if Excalibur's leaving, then he's just going to kind of go back and focus on the case. So what's it?
So you could work the case, which will get you 3 clues. You could explore a logos or a mythos. We can go off of those angles, which will get you a dot of attention on one of those, and then you get a clue.
Yeah, just work the case.
Okay. So tell me how Handsome Dan, in our like crime solving montage, what do we see you doing?
What Handsome Dan is doing is he is a couple different things. One, he is hitting some of the dive-ear bars that he knows that the Greeks don't deal with, to try and find out some more information. He's also reaching out to his media contacts to see, like, is there any art shows are going? I'm trying to get back in the public here, and like I want some high class things. Is there like, where can I find artists and things like that going on?
Okay.
And
yeah, that seems great. So I'm going to give you get 3 questions. Give me, and these can be as meta as you need them to be, and we'll fill in the fiction on them.
Where will we be able to find Medea?
So Medea is probably going to have to fall back to some of her other locations, because you did give her name up to Rusopolis. So we will see that place hit within the next 24 hours. And the lucky thing is that Grasscutter went through the lawyer's papers at the office, and so has some sense of what the other places are. And essentially you can put together that she's fallen back to a club / microbrewery that is kind of an artist's collective kind of place, and that's where she's going to be holed up right now, going to ground.
Hey, so I will tell Grass Cutter and Kitsune that we gotta do something relatively quick, or else we're gonna be caught in the middle of a street brawl between the two of them. Who does she have supporting her? Like, we know Rusopolis had Medusa and everything. Does she have any other mythos with her?
So the two others, the lawyer and that person that you saw at the colony when Kitsune snuck in, you're pretty sure that those two are Titans, and at least one of them is probably on site with her at any time. But then the other thing is that clearly a number of these artists are kind of in thrall to Prometheus, and your suspicion is that even if she maybe couldn't use them as bombs, they might be channels for her power, and she might be able to use them as weapons.
Is there any way to cut her off from her thralls?
Yes. And that is chains.
Chains. Oh, okay.
In the myth, Prometheus was chained to a rock. If you're talking pure mythics, then that's probably your direction to go. You're going to need to use that to chain her to be able to cut off her powers. Does that seem fair?
Yep. Sounds good. Guys, we need chains.
So let's come back to the three of you meeting again to discuss things. Did you have a 3 attention on one of your theme books then?
No, I had 2. So
okay.
I was just wondering if I'd gone the other way, what would have happened?
Yeah,
that's all right.
So what they've got is for each of the theme books, there are a set of particular advances that you can take, and when you get all 3, then you get a benefit. Usually, it involves making a move dynamite or getting a new power or something like that. Oh, that's a good point. Yeah, actually, I think that's fair. Yeah, I think that Kitsune, that would count as attention there. So you've got some info, and by this time you're hearing, definitely all 3 of you have a little bit of word on the streets that Rusopolis had been kind of going in a defensive stance, but has clearly called in markers from other people and has gotten favors. And within about 18 hours, that art gallery of Midia's burns to the ground. And people that you talk to say that there's something going on, that there's stuff going down, and people should be real careful. Certainly there are people asking out about Excalibur is the main thing. Maybe a few questions about Handsome Dan, but clearly your patron, Rusopolis, is put a bounty out on her. So what do you 3, what's the plan? Where do you want to head to from here? Kitsune, when you come back, when you hear that Grams isn't hiding, when you come back, what's your attitude after that scene? What do the other characters see anything different in you, or are you trying to hide anything, or what?
I think that River is probably very bad at hiding his feelings in the first place. So he probably comes back like being like all like blushy and like hiding his like kind of like hiding his face, but like can't like stop smiling dumbly and like thinking all like replaying it in his head. So he's probably hasn't given that much thought to like the mission itself.
Okay. So the three of you are there. You could talk about your plans. We could do another downtime. We could figure out how you want to approach things.
Wow, so Kitsune really did level up while we were out. That really was a joke, but I guess joke's on me. Haha.
I don't know what you're talking about. Gosh, why do you have to be so weird, Max?
So, Handsome Dan, what do you think? We're in the crossfire here.
Yeah, that we are.
I don't think the Greeks are gonna forgive us if we take out Midya for them.
No, they
But
tend to look poorly on murder. So, yeah.
Yeah. But clearly they're going after each other, so maybe that's our best chance to take them both out. And that's just a thought. If there's another way, maybe we could find it.
I would rather try and hit Medea as quickly as possible so that we're not fighting on two fronts. You know, I've never lost a fight with a guy, but I've never fought two guys in the ring at the same time, you know?
Yeah. So do you have a plan? What do we have to do to take Midya out?
Yeah, so I found out from some people that, you know, she has control of all those people. But if there's like chains, it kind of cuts it off. So I was thinking something with the Prometheus thing. We bind her in chains. That can at least get those people free. And once we're get those people, then we can fight the Greeks if we need to, or the other Greeks, I guess. And then do what we need to do. Go in, wrap her with chains, punch things. That's generally what I got.
Well, I like it, but what do we do then with the mafia? Turn in Midya and sue for peace, or see how it all plays out?
We could try, you know, maybe give Medea to Rusopolis as kind of a peace offering type thing.
What about this? So like there's weirdly kind of a whole bunch of Greek gods popping up all over the place all of a sudden. So if Zeus is here and Prometheus is here, what if Hera is somewhere and we convince Hera that Zeus is stepping out again? She's always put the smackdown on him before, at least as far as the myths go. Just saying, like, a woman scorned and all that.
Not
like, we could just let the problems take care of themselves.
But how does that help stop Prometheus from wrapping up the other people?
I mean, yes, we should
still got exploding
chain
artists.
her up. Yeah, that's something we gotta take care of that too.
So do you got Hera on speed dial?
Nope. Can't say that I do. I can check Reddit.
Yeah, check her Instagram.
Yeah.
R for R, seeking Greek goddess.
Well, I mean, that if we bring up some internal conflict with the Greek camp, then that's okay. I think whatever we do, we have to deal with Midya first.
I agree.
Is that understood? Okay. Do we know what her next step is likely to be?
From what I could find out, she's kind of holed up in this place that's most of the time a microbrewery and occasionally a club type thing. You know how it is, warehouse stances. You guys know about that probably better than I do.
A microbrewery is weirdly on brand for Prometheus, actually. So it makes sense.
The most bitter of pale ales.
The palest of ale. Yeah.
So much hops.
Okay, well then we have to go there. And you said something about chains.
Yes.
Like any chains, we could go down to Home Depot and get some chains, or
as far as I know.
You expect probably the sturdier the chains, the more resonant it's going to be. So, like, a simple like bicycle chain may be a little bit weak in terms of the status it can inflict.
I think we should probably go with kind of traditional chains, like something with big hefty locks, like how about the ones they use on boat anchors, or hey, if nothing else, like chain link fence type stuff.
I mean, we still got to be able to carry it, so I think something a little bit lighter than like boat chains is cool. Like, yeah, like Home Depot probably is going to have something that we can lock up a shed with, which is probably like a shed, right?
Steel chains, iron chains, something nice and sturdy,
Okay. Oh, we have some options. Chains aren't necessarily a rare thing in town. Just as long as we don't have to get them sanctified, or dip them in the blood of a virgin or something weird like that, we'll be fine. Okay,
I'm sure there'll be no problems at all.
And here I thought that just chaining someone up was going to be the weirdest thing I heard all night. Good job, Max.
So yeah, so let's say you can get some pretty heavyweight chain from Home Depot. Get a enough to fill a backpack, and have that. Essentially a very very heavy reinforced backpack full of chain. So how do you want to approach this? Do you still want to hit the streets more before you go and do this, or do you want to head on over to this brew pub?
I think that Kitsune definitely wants to like make a makeshift weapon before he goes.
Okay.
So.
Do we want to parlay a little bit, or do you want to just go in? What do you think, Dan? We could try to get another meeting, but you know how the last meeting turned out.
Yeah, I'm thinking at this point just to go in. She's already blowing up kids, and that ain't that great. I don't have a special affinity for talking with her at that point. If you want to try, we can, but I don't think. Here, would you please kindly put on these chains is going to function.
Nah, I'm definitely more. Let's just do it.
Maybe sneak in or something.
Yeah, we're sneaking in with a bunch of chain. Plus, it might be
for an art project or something.
Yeah, they're waiting for it. They're waiting for us, so we're gonna have to be really careful to go in. Although, have you? This might be an outside thing. Has Handsome Dan actually met Midya yet? Did that happen last session?
Nope.
No.
So, but we can pull up her Instagram to show him what she looks like, because that's probably a thing. Or she's got like a foundation website or something like that. And like, I may not be Flickr, but I know how to use Google. So,
yeah, we'll certainly get a picture of her for Dan.
Okay, so I think we should try to sneak in. I mean, that's our strength, right? now that we've leveled up.
But-
We can try to sneak in and get to Midya before any fireworks happen.
Okay. Well, let's do a quick prep thing since Kitsune wants to do some prep. We'll check in with each of you to see what we see in terms of the arming up here. What is it that you want to prepare, Kitsune? Are you unburning your tag, or are you preparing some other kind of effect or something?
So I do want to like make a makeshift weapon. But instead of like making another katana, I think that Kitsune has probably seen Kill Bill a few too many times and wants to make a chain mace like Gobo Yubari.
Okay.
He thinks that he'll be able to make that.
Absolutely. So let me ask you this. There are a couple ways we can do this. We can just have you unburn your makeshift katana. Or if you want, essentially, you're allowed to essentially consider that as a prep and generate juice, which means hold, for future use in the scene if you want by doing that.
Well, I guess I'll try the whole thing because I haven't used that mechanic.
Okay.
So.
So what that is you will get 3 juice that you can spend at any point to add a status, give somebody a tag, reduce somebody else's status, things like that. So what do we see on screen? You preparing? Is Kill Bill on in the background?
Yes, and it's like the theme is playing, and like you do the slow pan over the table, like lengths of chain or like just laying around, and like with measuring tape, and then like I'm like picking things up and being like trying to attach it and see if like no, and then like picking this up and like that, and then eventually it's just like it's almost like a small kettlebell, which is what I've attached to the end of it.
Okay, I like that. Awesome. So yeah, you've got that, and you've got 3 juice that to use in the following scene. What about grass cutter? Are we doing other preparations, clearings of things, investigations? What do you think?
I think he needs to unburn Smite with Lightning.
Okay.
So I think he spends time in the Sanctuary's dynamo, which is powering the Sanctuary, and just sitting there taking lightning strikes from it. So he spins it up and takes a lightning strike, and then he's attuning himself.
Do you think when we see it, is the visual for us like the lightning passing through you and you absorbing it, or are you taking hits and kind of bracing with it?
I think he's absorbing it. So it's passing through, but like he's bare chested and he has like welding goggles on, and this is just like a very ritualistic thing that happens.
I like that. So almost like you've got that Van de Graaff generator kind of flickers around you and going into you.
Sure,
all right.
like 2 Tesla coils or whatever.
Yes. And what about Handsome Dan?
Handsome Dan is he's trying. Okay. He is like holding his arm down, and he has it cut open and like nailed to a table, and he's trying to stick the chain in between the lines of flesh, and then he just kind of like folds the skin back over it. He's trying to focus on like, then he kind of throws a couple punches as you see the arm healing back up.
So do you think that you also preparing? Are you also generating juice?
Yeah, I'm generating juice.
Okay, so you've got 3 hold as well. So this is an old stone like brewery building that actually got converted into this microbrewery. It has some rooms that are essentially got a dance floor room. We've actually got like a restaurant / cafe, coffee house kind of things. They probably have a space that's for shows, for bands to play, a small venue. Probably got an open air beer garden outside. And then another part of it is this the gallery. And you know from your research as grass cutter that this is essentially owned by that Epipinto guy. This is one of his sort of hidden holdings. And so do you want to go in during operational hours? Do you want to go in after hours? How do you three want to approach this? Are you going in together, splitting? Kitsune?
I think that because we have like the same goal, but like we also realize that we need as many chances as possible, that we're probably going in separately, like at the same time, and we're gonna probably like try to like get her from all sides.
Okay.
But
Does that seem fair to you, Grass Cutter?
Yeah, I think what Kitsune is saying is that River's gonna kind of ninja her way in. I think Grass Cutter is gonna go the water route and then try to work the electrical system to provide cover, and then Handsome Dan can bring in the artillery.
Sound good to you, Handsome?
Sure.
Okay.
Why not?
Let's take our break a little early here, since it seems like a good spacer for the scene. Let's take 5, and we will come back with some sneaking around and doing things rolls. All right? All right. So after hours then? Okay. So Kitsune, you want to sneak in? Are you going the usual parkour above ground route?
Yeah, I don't think I'm going to mess with the classic. So.
Yeah. So what do you suppose is different about coming across the roof of this place than other places?
I think that this one probably doesn't have like a super convenient skylight or anything like that. It's going to be a bit harder. Like maybe I have to like get on a fire escape and then sneak in that way.
Okay. Well, let's see that. So this is the sneaking around move. What are your tags for this?
Artist, nimble as a fox, and I think daring to be the first person going in.
That seems fair.
And so that's 3+, no minus.
Correct. You just you click on those 3 tags. Mm-hmm. You don't have to put the pluses up top of it or anything.
And then we're gonna sneak around. Oh, it's still a 6. Ooh.
So let's see here. So you will go up onto the top of this, and you will find that there isn't like what you would get in terms of the fire escape. You're actually having to go through one of these like vents, like old style brewery chimneys, and you will find yourself kind of scaling down in through there, and it is deeply unpleasant. And when you kind of roll out of that, you will find yourself essentially coming out into a chamber, kind of crawl out, and you will look up and you will see that there are a set of people. None of the Titans that you saw before, not Prometheans, but you will see what looks like, how do I put this? Promethean-inspired brewmasters. They've got all of the stuff on the table, all the hops and things like that, and they're talking about that. And you see they've got the fermentation vats, and they have that sort of mad look of scientists, and that kind of burning in their eyes, and as they see you kind of come tumbling out of this vent. So we'll come back to you in just one second. So tell me, Grasscutter, what are you up to?
Grasscutter has prepared for this by summoning a massive storm. So a massive storm front rolls in over the brewery.
Okay.
And rain is pouring down, and lightning and thunder and that kind of thing. Then he's going to transform himself into water and sneak in through the drains.
Okay. So what are the tags you're using for this sneak in?
I'm going to choose Lord of the Tempests.
Okay.
I'm going to choose transform into water and narrow spaces.
That seems fair. Any weakness tags?
That's a good question. Probably. Although, what happens when we choose the Pantheon drama of for our crew tag?
So that if you choose that, it'll get a point of attention on the crew theme. and it will be a minus.
I'll choose excited from Sullivan Artist.
Okay.
Kind of
overly excited. You really want to get revenge. You've been held off for a while.
Yeah, it's time. Alrighty. So this is sneak around, you're saying?
That it is.
All right, I got a 9.
Okay. I think that there is a moment off screen from where you're at, where we see some of the people like looking at the pressure valves, the water pressure valves moving through the system through this, because they do water filtration here, that kind of thing. And there's this weird spike, and you see them, they do that thing where they kind of tap the gauge, and clearly they're like, okay, something weird is going on. They don't know what it is. They don't see you, but there's a few of these people that kind of are maybe a little more alerted. They're working late here. So let me ask you then, Handsome Dan. The other two are going in soft. What are you doing? Are you waiting for a signal? Are you going in hard to create a distraction? Or are you trying to also be sneaky?
Handsome Dan is also going to try and sneak in.
Okay.
Because why not? So he's gonna grab some like clothes just to look like a normal person, and he's going to use his how he can change himself to try and make himself look kind of smaller, kind of like an average guy. Okay. He's going to go up to the loading dock and just knock whenever somebody opens. Hey, I had a problem with this last order. I was supposed to get 2 cases of chocolate porter, and I only got 1. Okay. We need to straighten this out right now.
All right. So what tags are you using to sneak in here?
Create skin texture and color.
Okay.
And weakness of struggle to restrain growth.
Okay.
A nice straight up roll.
Yeah. Don't forget, when you use your weakness tag, get to mark your attention on that theme book. So I think what happens is it's pouring, it's raining out.
Yeah.
And you knock, and the door comes open, and you start arguing with this guy. You don't get in, and you're getting more and more antsy. Like, there's something about you when you come and you're trying to, and he can see that there's something weird about you, and he's like, no, you got to come during daytime hours. You can't just come here after night, to get in. And in the background behind you on camera, we can see maybe across the street a couple of vans pulling in. We haven't seen them before. We don't know where they're from, but they certainly slide ominously into place.
No, I need to resolve this now.
And you are arguing with this guy and making a scene. You're not able to get in unless you want to push it.
That's
Kitsune. Fine. What are you going to do with these mystical brewmasters?
So do I get the sense then that they're just like they're kind of like God touched, like that girl who blew up, or are they special?
It's maybe even more that this is. You saw some of those ones that were the later ones that were clearly so intense that were so, they have that look, like you can almost, now that you kind of know what you're looking for, see that fire burning in them. Like, you almost think they're probably an extension of Prometheus in some ways. Prometheus is fire. Prometheus probably can't right now see through them or extend her senses through them, but she certainly has some kind of bond or connection to them.
I think that I don't want to like cause a big scene right now, so I think that like I'm gonna try to use my trickster fox spirit powers to cast a little illusory appearance and induce a hypnotic trance on them.
Ooh, interesting. I like that. So essentially, you want to essentially create a kind of a status that is an illusion for them.
Right.
Then let's say let's have you do change the game.
Okay.
Because one of the things you can do is you can bump some of that up to scale up the effect and hide things and so on with that.
Okay.
Now, do you want to spend any of your juice on this?
So the trickster, fox spirit, all three power tags kind of feel like they apply here. So illusory appearance, inducing a hypnotic trance, and making hypnotic suggestion. So can I also use a juice and push that to a 4? Or
yeah, you do. We just put that in the plus thing at the top.
Okay, so I'll spend a juice as well. I'll decrease my juice number 2. And we're going to change the game. Hopefully. It's 11.
Look at that. So what do they see? What is it that completely obscures you from them?
So there's like almost like a heat wavering kind of like appearance, and then suddenly like I am basically just like an amalgamation of the two of them. Like I've got like one's nose and the other one's mouth, and like I look as if they had like a kid together, but I'm like the exact same age as them. And then I just convince them that I am like their friend Brian, who's also got touched and like totally here to help them through.
Absolutely. They're like, hey, Brian, man, to close that vent, dude, we got to get back to work. I've got to get in tune with the hops, man. Let's get into it. All right. I got some fresh yeast, sourdough starter. It's something other than else. It's great. And yeah, they buy into it, in part because you're selling into their whole sort of, God touched, delusion that they're under. And so you can, if you want to, slip out of here, and you will get past them. Still going to need to eventually sneak around in here, but you certainly overcome this particular obstacle. And otherwise, it's pretty quiet, though maybe in the distance you can hear some shouting going on from the loading dock. Where do you appear, Grasscutter?
I think, well, if I'm going through the plumbing, I don't have many options. Well, no, let me change that. I have plenty of options, but none of them are great.
Kitchens.
I think I appear in one of the restrooms. Like I appear in one of the sinks. Maybe in what I know to be the back area. So not the brew garden, not the showroom, or in one of the back areas. We're still unclear on the total layout of this place.
Right.
So
you come in one of the back areas. It's that maybe off from the what would be the cafe.
Sure.
Off of this place, and the cleaning crew comes in the morning, so it's still that late in the day. After hours, they haven't done the full cleanup on the place. But at least this isn't the part where they serve alcohol, so it's not quite as nasty. But you will come out there, and then what do you want to do? What do you want to do? Do you want to meet up with Kitsune? What's your plan?
I think the first thing I do is I send a silent text to both Kitsune and Handsome Dan saying, "Okay, I'm in," and so I'll peek out the door, and if it's quiet, I'll try to make my way upward, because I think that's where they're at.
Okay. So you knew kind of generally where Kitsune was headed to?
Yes.
In terms of the entryway. You also know how Dan was planning on getting in. Assuming that you hear that Dan's thing is not going as well as it should have, do you want to continue on to Kitsune to maintain your cover, or do you want to head down towards where Dan is at?
I think I'll head down towards Dan.
Okay.
And go as silently as I can, and try to make my way to the shipping and receiving area. I think that's where Dan is, right?
Yeah.
Shipping and receiving. Okay.
It'll take you past some of the big vats, the big metal vats and things, and here.
Oh, are they being attended to? Are people there attending
There's
to
a
the vat?
skeleton crew, but this is probably the after hours. You're probably moving through this darkened area where there's maybe one person sitting monitoring the stuff, the water pressure and all that.
All right. I think what I'll do then is I'll sneak up behind him, or that person. It could be he or she or whatever.
Okay.
And or God knows what's in a mythic brewery. Beer golems. I don't know. And I will try to take them out.
Okay. Why don't you do hit it with all you've got?
Okay, so I'll choose people watching. But
Okay.
I'm also my weakness tag is one of my weakness tags is, I think, struggles with calming.
Okay.
And that's about it, I think.
Okay.
All right. So I'm sorry, hit him with all you got.
Yep.
All right, I got an 8.
An 8. So you get to mark a tag, and you will do the effect. Now, what do you want as the choice off of that? You get a minimum of 1 power, so you have 1 power of effect here on this person. Do you want to boost that up?
Yeah, I think I'll boost it.
Okay. So how do you take out this satyr who's working the controls here?
I think I just give him the flat of the sword. So a quick blow to the back of the head and trying to knock him out.
Okay. Yeah, you'll catch him in the ear, kind of lift him up, and he will crash down and kind of, spills his wine all over the console. So there's some brief sparks there as he hits the ground. And you definitely see it is a satyr. Someone has that kind of rift element.
Cool. And then on the controls, I'm going to try to raise the pressure on all the vats to a critical thing and get them to explode.
That sounds like you're changing the game.
Yeah. Do you want to do that now, or take some time, maybe?
Let me come back to you on that.
Sure.
Dan, this guy's not letting you through.
Okay, so this is different than the satyr that he dealt with?
Yeah. He's moved past the vats and things like that, getting the control shut down. This is the guy in the loading dock who's arguing with you.
It's like he's gonna try and talk through it for a minute, but seeing it's not going anywhere, he's like, "All right, that's it," and he's just gonna slug the guy.
Okay,
it's his go-to move.
Let's hit it with all you've got.
Okay, so instant muscle building so that he can make a good punch.
Okay,
and boxing and a mean right hook.
Okay.
Yeah, just go with those.
Absolutely. And you can pick 2. Control the collateral damage, I assume.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Let's say that one of the other picks is essentially not to make too much noise. Does that seem fair?
Sure.
Okay. So what do we see on screen with that instant muscle building when you clock this after hours worker?
So he just wheels back to throw the punch, and as he punches, you see his arm get bigger and the clothes kind of like come apart when he punches the guy.
And yeah, and you will just clock him, and he will drop like a sack of potatoes. And you can carefully move him inside. Nothing here. You look around. There are, of course, all these cases of glass and bottles and things like that, and you're relieved that you didn't send him flying back into any of those. And of course, you walk into that loading dock, and like everything around here, everything smells like yeast and beer back here, and diesel on the loading dock. And you can make your way in. Now, what is it that you want to be doing once you get inside?
I want to look for, since they have a public end, see if like I'm looking for like an office space, or like if there's like a private loft or anything.
Okay.
Something like that.
So what's your investigate?
Oh boy. Investigate. Yeah, I got nothing.
Any tags appropriate to looking around or anything like that? Case in a joint?
Gambling? No. I'll just go with a straight roll.
Okay. You can also use a cruise.
Yes. I have a juice. Is there anything I can do with?
Yeah, you can spend as much or as little. You tell me what you are using it for.
Okay, I'm going to spend one juice to I'll say the place has like a pretty big, clear, open layout.
Okay.
So I can kind of easily find what I'm looking for.
So we put like a basic location tag of open land. Okay. Yeah. So give yourself a +1 on the upstairs thing. Mm-hmm. Do you want to use any of your crew tags?
Oh, we stand united with that.
Sure, if you want. Yeah.
Because this is all part of our plan, working together and everything. So let's go ahead and give it a try. Hey.
Oh yeah. So you have 2 questions. The first question was, is there an area that we can get to? I would say, yeah, actually back here from the loading dock, there are a set of stairs that go up to a second floor set of offices, and you get the sense like maybe even rooms for people to stay at and things like that. Like this is the access way up to, where Midya and her cohort are probably operating out of.
Okay.
What's your second question?
Man, is there anybody that looks like a major threat around here?
Yeah, so you want to know who else might be here.
Yeah.
I think that you will kind of see one of, like, maybe there's a security monitor here. And you will probably catch that lawyer guy. They've described him to you, the bald head, heading up to those rooms. So, Midya's here, and you know one of the other Titans is definitely here. Does that seem fair?
Yep, sounds great.
And I assume you text that info, that kind of thing?
I'll text over. I think I know where she's at, and the bald dude's there too.
Kitsune, you've gotten in. You've gotten past these people, and Handsome Dan has texted you info on locations. What do you want to do?
So I think I want to try to regroup and like get to the place where we think we're going. So,
Okay.
yeah.
So let's then do this. Let's have Grass Cutter resolve his change the game, and then we'll bring the three of you together. Does that seem fair?
Sure.
Grass Cutter, how are you setting up this potential explosion?
Well, I'm going to disable all the safeties on the boiler and then crank up the temperature really high.
Okay.
And then I'm also going to release all the vats so that they pour out over the floor.
And what tags are appropriate for you doing this?
I'm going to choose limitless creativity.
Okay, I like that.
And I think that is it.
Do you have anything about controlling? Can you control liquids? I can't remember because it's just water form.
One thing problem I have with the sheet is that you can. No, there it is. No, it's just a form thing.
Okay.
So,
do you want to any crew tags you want to click? I've already used the United one, but there's still a couple others.
those really don't apply.
Okay.
So I'm just going to see what happens.
All right, let's roll it and find out.
No fury of the gods?
We might need that later. This isn't so much fury as it is, it really doesn't apply. Okay. Why don't I see this tag in the taking action box? Oh, because I have this one turned on. Okay, so change the game. All right, so that's a miss.
All right. So you go to break the safety interlocks. We see Kitsune coming down to meet up with you. Dan's coming over to where you're at to do this. And I think this is not something you're particularly familiar with, right?
I've seen it done in movies plenty of times.
Done in movies. And I think that what will happen is you will like crank the pressure, and the system's all pressure is already out of whack, we established. And I think we will see the tank in front of you, like across, like there's a pane of glass looking out on these big tanks. We will see this tank rupture and explode. And I'm going to give you a level 1 physical harm from that as a status.
Okay.
And it's loud, just tears through. It gives, splashes you, and you are covered with what must be a stout because it is pretty sticky and thick. And it's before they thinned it, so it's gloopy. Okay. And just awful. And you smell of yeast right now, momentarily, because you can turn to water and not have to worry about it. But right now it is awful, and you are coated. Dan, Kitsune, you hear this explosion. You see this ruptured, this vat just give, and the cascade of half brewed beer come flying out over where Grass Cutter is at. That seems to attract attention, and you can hear people coming. What do you want to do, Dan?
I hear people coming towards us or towards...
Coming downstairs. Imagine that you guys are on the first floor. You're on the sort of loading dock, kind of next to the brew area that Grass Cutter is just blown a section out of. You kind of in that halfway point, and from those rooms upstairs, you'll hear people coming down, where Midya and the other Titan are at.
I'm going to... I'll say, Kitsune, follow me, and I'll just charge through to try and get whoever's at the doors.
Okay. Kitsune, are you following, or are you helping Grass Cutter?
Oh my god. I feel like Grasscutter can pick himself up. It was, it's gross, but it's not that bad. So I feel like he like pulls out his like, chain mace and he starts swinging it around and he's like following after. So.
Okay. You go moving over there, you will get to the base of these steps that come down, essentially the steps that kind of stick out of the wall that go upstairs. And you can see this group of 3 or 4 people look like maybe some of those artist types you saw before, and they're coming running down. And behind them, since he just went upstairs, is that lawyer Titan who is also coming down the stairs. So what do you want to do, Dan? Do you want to try and get past these people and attack him? Do you want to take these sort of agent types out?
I want to take the agent. I want to hit as many people as possible so that they're focused on me.
Okay. So let's have you hit it with all you got. They're essentially a group, so you're hitting a group at the same time.
Okay. So I will go with boxing.
Okay.
Grow some extra limbs while I'm doing this, and grow huge so I can just take as many as I can.
All right.
And I'm monstrous for that.
Please roll.
Hey.
So you get 2 picks off of that.
Okay. I want to hold the target's attention.
Okay.
And would you get more of them do anything in this instance, or?
I think get them good would do more since they're
Okay.
It's a group you're attacking. If you want to do that.
Sure, I will get them good then.
So I imagine that we see you kind of tear the side out of this stairwell out into that open room and send these Promethean, fire bearers flying. And they're normals, a little boosted by Prometheus, but they go flying and they hit the floor out. Kitsune, Mitosis, Handsome Dan tears open the thing, and you can see those agents go flying, and you will see one of those Titans that you saw before, the lawyer, and he's kind of stopped because that wasn't what he was expecting. What do you want to do, Kitsune?
Okay. So I think this is the ideal time to... I think I probably just want to like hit him with all I've got.
Okay, yeah, just go in for the full blow before he can even get himself together.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So as far as tags go, I think this is probably nimble as a fox.
Okay.
And then because I'm like, rolling off of the like successful attack of Dan, I think that's we stand united as well.
Okay.
And then I think I'm going to use a juice with my, chain mace. So I think that's 3.
Let's have you roll that.
Hit it with all I've got. It's a 9.
That is a 9. You get to choose one from the list.
I think I want to get him good.
Okay. So you'll take it to tier 4 then with the power. So it'll go up to that, which is good. And I'll show you why here. Because when you go to hit him, what are you hitting him with? What do we see?
So I basically like fly through the air and I'm swinging the chain mace with the kettlebell. And like with the as fast as I am, I'm swinging it so fast that the momentum when I throw the kettlebell into his face just like cracks him, and like his nose breaks.
Yeah. Crashes, smashes into him. He staggers back. That should have taken his head off, but he absorbed that, and you see he grabs on to that chain, and he yanks, and he will spin, and he will whip you against the wall. And so you're also going to take a tier 2 damage status, essentially, as the response back, and he smashes you into it. You've still got a hold of the chain. He's got a hold of the other end. Because I forgot to do it, we're not going to worry about the reciprocal status on you, John. I should have done that when I was playing. Let's come to Grass Cutter. Grass Cutter. You see right now, Kitsune has smashed into that lawyer titan, but he's got a hold of the other end of it, the kind of swinging around on chains. Looks like Dan's cleared the agents out of the way. You know that past them on the stairs up, you're guessing that Prometheus is up there, but you've also got this guy you're dealing with. What do you want to do?
I'm sorry, which guy am I dealing with? The agent right in front of me?
No, the guy that Kitsune's dealing with. Essentially, they're on the set of stairs, the way that you need to get past to go up. Kitsune is engaged with Epipinto there.
The vans that pulled up, did anyone follow Handsome Dan in?
Not yet. No.
Okay. All right. Well, good luck getting past the beer.
Yeah, the floor is now slick with stout.
Sure. I'm going to try to take out the one that is tangling with Kitsune. So I'll charge in with Grass Cutter and try to take that person out.
All right, let's have you hit it with all you've got.
Okay, so let me reset this. And I'm going to
don't forget you can also burn tags to get a 10 plus power 3.
Sure. I'm actually gonna hit that person with lightning.
Okay.
So I'll just call on him from the storm above. And see what happens. So I'm gonna choose Smite with Lightning and Lord of the Tempests.
Okay.
And see what happens.
Okay. Roll +2. So that is an 8. So that's power 2 effect. What do you want as your pick off of that?
I'm going to get them good.
Okay. So it does crackle across him. And she doesn't move from it. But then you can see probably shatters the stairs out from underneath him, and he goes crashing to the floor. And we'll take a tick on that.
This was is this Epipinto?
Yeah.
No.
He will hit the ground. Let's go with the chain that Kitsune has, and he grabs up like one of these crates of beer that he has, and he will fling it at you, and catches you in the side with this thing. Bottle shatter, catches you across that, which is going to be a tier 2 damage status on you.
Okay, so I already have a status of from the beer. So
Okay.
Is this a new status tag? Is that
so no, it'll go on that same spectrum. So you'll go up 2 ticks on that.
Okay, so I'm at 2.5.
Okay. Let's come back to Dan. Dan, this guy is strong. He's incredibly tough. He just caught threw Kitsune against the wall. He just caught Grasscutter with these bottles, essentially a case of beer. And what do you want to do?
Just go right back at him. I'm gonna like grab the biggest like barrel or case I can find, smash him over the head with it.
Okay. So that's hit it with all you got, right?
Yep. With huge and instant muscles, and that's not really a boxing move. So, and the extra limbs to help smash them with things. Okay.
So what do you want as your pick?
I think I'm just gonna get him good.
Okay.
Because I just want to try and take him down as quickly as possible.
So to go to
not
a 4. So
yeah.
1, 2. So you will hit him with that, and he will go flying backwards. And you see him land next to one of these trucks, like essentially for this, and kind of makes an imprint in the side of it as he smashes into it. And he reaches down and he pulls the tire off of this truck. And then he throws it at you and catches you in the midsection. And you'll take a tier 2 damage status. Essentially, just smashes you there. And he is looking around, like trying to figure out how to get out of here. Like he is in bad shape. He's just now beginning to realize exactly who you are, that you aren't Rusopolis's people. And he's looking like maybe he wants to jump up to the top of those stairs to get to where Prometheus is at. Kitsune.
Okay, there we go. Yeah, so I think that I'm going to try to get myself back up off the ground. And is he still holding my chain?
No, he let go of it when Grasscutter hit him with the lightning.
Okay, good, because then I didn't get electrocuted either. Yeah, so I think then I'm going to probably he's probably distracted, so I'm going to see if I can crack him over the back of the head.
Okay. Let's have you roll that.
All right. So I feel like this is pretty daring because
Yeah.
And then I don't know that it's nimble though.
Not particularly.
So
do you still have juice left?
Yeah, I've got the 1 juice, so I guess I'll spend that too.
Okay.
So I'll spend what's going on? Oh, okay, that's the thing. So let's do that. I'm still learning the sheet here.
Oh yeah.
So. Yeah, okay, so power 2, hit it with all I've got.
Right, now here's the key question. What do you want to do in terms of your pick there? Do you want to not get hit back?
Yeah, I'm already
actually do damage.
I'm already pretty smashed up, but I feel like I can take probably a little bit more. So yeah, I think I'm still gonna get him good.
Okay. So that will do 1 tick onto him. Smash it in there. You probably come down over the truck to hit him in the back of the head. And land there, and he's grabbing it. Blood is coming down that. You can see that he is trying to center himself, and he just kind of lashes out with that hand, and puts his hand on you, And I need you to, let me see what this effect is going to be that. I want you to burn one of your tags on the anything for Adam relationship. Essentially, as his hand reaches out and he touches you, you get that sudden flash of like every awkward or embarrassing moment that you have had around Adam, every tongue-tied moment, every little bit, and especially that last sequence we saw between you and him, like repeated on loop, and it feels like it goes on forever. And so pick one of those and burn one of them.
It's school rumors because it's like every single story.
Oh yeah, they all know it. They all know. Grass cutter. You'll see Epipinto is just barely on his feet. He's gotten smashed against this van. He's pushed on Kitsune, and it looks like while he didn't like hit Kitsune, Kitsune seems to be affected by whatever he did. You muted.
I'm muted. No, I'm not. Kitsune is at like I don't know what's going on with Kitsune. So I just yelled duck, and I use control the wind and bring up a massive gale within the floor and slam the truck up against Epi.
Okay. What are the tags you're using with this?
I'm going to use controls of the wind. Actually, I'm going to burn controls of the wind.
Okay. So it'll be effectively a 10 plus power 3. What do you want as your 2 picks then?
I'm going to choose you get them really good.
Okay.
I'm going to there's no collateral damage.
Okay. So you pick that up, and he's just kind of turning back from having, touched the Kitsune, and he looks up and he sees that truck get picked up, and you slam him into the wall, and it comes crashing down. And we probably see it Wizard of Oz style, where we see his cowboy boots, nice snake skin, couple $1,000 boots sticking out from under the truck. There's maybe a twitch on a foot, and then it doesn't move.
Nice.
Kitsune,
are you okay? Come on, get in the game.
And he just sent like Kitsune stands up and he's just like, I'm okay. I need a minute. I need a minute. Something weird happened. Oh gosh, why couldn't you have just hit me? Oh no.
Okay. Well, whenever you're ready, I charge in after Handsome Dan, I guess.
So Dan, what are you doing?
If that's him eliminated, then I'm gonna keep going up the steps and looking for Prometheus or Medea.
Okay. So you actually have to kind of leap up because you tore these steps off the side of this wall. You have to leap up to that second floor to get up there. And you will see that there are a group of people who kind of gathered together, and you can see that there's kind of this burning look in their eyes, light kind of coming out from where they're at. And they seem to be moving forward with deliberate speed.
Um,
And imagine that the room that we're talking about, you come up these stairs. The stairs are on the side of the room of this warehouse. This room is probably like a second floor room above the warehouse. And it probably then, you know, like one of those overlook rooms. And then that leads into the main building from there, and a group of people coming at you.
Okay. I'm going to, as they're headed towards me, I don't want to hurt them, so I'm gonna try taking one of the lengths of chain and wrap it around this guy, and like whoever I can get to first, to see if it breaks it that way or if it needs to be.
Okay. So let's go toe to toe.
Okay. Let's see. If we're going toe to toe, I am a boxer, so I know how to avoid. Yeah, that's really about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So choose one.
I guess I'm gonna achieve my goal of wrapping him up.
So you grab this first person, and you will wrap those chains around them. And you know these are pretty thick, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And sort of as soon as you kind of get that knot set, you will see that fire dim in their eyes, and they're like, you know, clearly shocked at what is going on. But even as that happens, you see that next person steps up to you and kind of explodes out at you. And you see just they kind of combust, and that flame will wash over you for a tier 2 status. Essentially can level that onto your damage. So 2 ticks.
Okay.
Kitsune, Dan leapt upstairs, he started to engage with people, and then you'll hear a boom that you'll recognize. Not as big as the one in the apartment, but similar to that. What do you want to do?
So I think that I'm probably not going to have enough any real time to contemplate the emotional damage that I've taken. So I'm gonna just grab the chain up off the floor. It no longer has the kettlebell attached to it because it was kind of obliterated, but I still have a chain. And I'm gonna like run up the stairs to find out what's going on.
You probably have to run up the what's left of the stairs sticking out of the wall. Probably parkour up them, and you will see kind of the last of that sort of spark and smoke of the explosion that hit Handsome Dan. He's kind of shielded this guy with his body kind of wrapped in chains. Clearly, this guy has been pulled out of it by this lockdown, but one of them exploded. And there's still 4 more of these people in here.
So I think I'm probably going to try to, I feel like if they're knocked out, maybe they won't explode. So like, I'm probably going to try to change the game by like parkouring around and like kicking as many of them in the face as possible.
Okay. So, are you trying to knock them out, or are you trying to wrap them in a chain?
I think I'm trying to, I think the chain is probably not the best option. I want to like incapacitate them because it seems like they blow up when they're hyped. So like if I can knock them out, maybe that'll postpone any detonation.
Okay. So I do think that that's probably going to be hit him with all you got, because it is kind of an attack to take him out.
Okay. Well, parkour artist and nimble as a fox, and it's a pretty daring move, in my opinion.
Okay. Yeah, you're running up to 4 people who could explode at any moment.
And then see, like, am I helping So is there like a thing is like if you're assisting a teammate or something? Because I guess we haven't really talked about the help or hurt points for like your crew.
Yeah, you can actually spend those to essentially to give yourself juice.
Okay.
So if you want to do that, you can do that.
Well, I guess because I guess I don't have like a help or hurt on Dan actually, so I guess it's not relevant for this particular one. So yeah, I'll go with the power of 3.
Okay, let's see it.
All right, hit it with all I've got. It's a 6.
So you will move to go and do that. And it's the moment when you see someone you know, one of the people from Adam's crowd or something, one of the artists that you know personally. And it makes you hesitate for just a second. And then this guy leaps forward, grabs onto you, and explodes. And you're going to take 2 ticks of damage. And just knocks you back, smashes you into some of the office furniture that's up here. And you've got part of what's left of this guy kind of clinging on to you right now. Let's go to Grass Cutter.
Okay, so I was kind of following Handsome Dan after dealing with.
Yeah, you can. What is your way of getting up these broken stairs? Do you just run up them? Do you flow like water? What do we see?
Well, I really can't flow like water because I'm pretty sure for me it's gravity based.
Okay.
So I am not as fleet as Kitsune. So I'm running up and trying to maintain my balance. I think I reached the door just after the explosion, right?
Yeah, you're just not quite fast enough to get up there to get in the way, and you can see Kitsune knocked back.
Okay, are there still 3?
Still 3 of them in here.
Okay, then I'm gonna hit all 3 with a lightning bolt.
Okay,
and I'm gonna make it like a taser. So I'm just gonna tase all 3.
That seems fair. That's going to be hitting with all you got. You're trying to take him out, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna burn smite with lightning too.
Okay.
Okay, so
don't have to roll that.
Yeah. So for my 2, I'm gonna choose. There's no collateral damage, and I'm gonna choose. Actually, can I choose that twice? So no collateral damage to me, but there's loads of collateral damage, so I could get all of them.
Well, what you can do is you can choose it so you don't take damage back.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can choose the control of the collateral damage.
Okay, so I'll do that. So I just want to get all 3 for sure.
Okay. So yeah, you will smash through this. That lightning goes down. What do we see? I mean, where does the lightning come from? Is it from the electrical plugs or is it from the ceiling? What do we see from you?
I think that that actually he touches the ground and you see forks of lightning shoot through the ground and up into through their feet, and it tases all 3 of them at the same time.
And they can do that shiver and shock, and they will drop to the ground. And Dan, the other 3 are out. This guy who you protect is probably unconscious but still alive. Their entryway into what you guess is the main office, if me is still there or is trying to get out. You're not sure. What do you want to do, Dan?
That's it for me, guys. I've used everything, so it's up to you.
Yeah, just because of the kid exploding, he's like screaming with rage, and he's going to run in and shout, "Prometheus!"
Kind of door gives way, shatters.
Rip the door open.
We can see there is a gallery here, like an open area, like art workshop. We see like like a kiln. We see the one of the potter's wheels. We see easels and things like that. All that kind of stuff. Pictures hanging, and we'll see this woman at the end is kind of standing by the kiln, and she, like, maybe there was a moment where it looked like she was going to run, but she stops and she kind of looks at you and says, "So you know who I am?"
I do.
Then bring it.
Okay, and then I will.
Okay. And you see, as she says that, she reaches her hand, and you see the fire kind of come out of that kiln, and she has that burning in her hands.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, he's going to go running towards her with that mean right hook.
Okay.
And
do you have any juice left to spend?
Yeah, I do. So can it be like just like a bull type charge?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, and then huge, and extra. Actually, no, I'll go that way, and then monstrous.
Now, one of the things I'll tell you could do if you want to really goob it is you could burn one of your tags.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of.
And then spend the juice on the tag.
Spend the juice.
Spend the juice to boost the effect up.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think I'll do that then. I'm gonna burn my extra limbs.
Okay. And she will as well.
So then I just click the burn and then the roll, right? Or
yeah, and what? Yeah, it should. Well, what it'll do is you're going to get a power 10. Sorry, a result of 10 plus with a power of 3. And how much juice you're spending?
I was going to spend. I have 2 juice, so I'll spend them both.
Okay. So what we've got here is a 10 plus result for hit it with all you got with a power of 5. And then you get 2 picks off of the hit it with all you got results.
All right, so I'm going to. Is there anybody else in this area, or
no? It looks like it's just you and her.
Okay. I want to take their attention.
Okay.
And I'm gonna get her good, and I just go running forward, and just as I hit her with that first hand, she blocks it with fire, and he starts growing extra limbs, and he just kind of pounds into her as much as he can,
smashing into her, and completely unexpected for her the amount of damage to take, because she reduces the power that she would take by 2. And you knock her back, that kiln goes flying, but she will grab onto those extra limbs and just incinerates them. Like the fire goes up them, and you will feel those arms burn off for 3 damage ticks.
Oof. That takes me to 4.
Okay, 5 is when you go out.
Okay.
Kitsune.
All right, so
you see her burn the arms off of Handsome Dan.
I'm also pretty pissed about like the emotional damage that I took, because like there are very few things from my human life that I care about, and her minion like effed with that. So Kitsune like throws off like the remains of like the minion who exploded on me, and like picks up the chain, and then just like while she's distracted, I'm gonna try to like throw the chain and like whip it around her. Because I don't have like quite the leverage that I did before when there was a kettlebell on it, but
Yeah.
I'm gonna try it.
So this is you trying to change the game. You're essentially trying to inflict a negative status to reduce her ability to absorb damage. So what are the tags for this?
So I think that I probably like tried to like sneak, like run in and like probably wall jumped around her to try to get behind her so she didn't see it. So parkour artist, nimble as a fox. I don't know that this is necessarily daring because we're all pretty daring right now.
Right.
I definitely think that it's I'm standing united with my fellow gods. So
That sounds fair.
so that's power of 3. I'm gonna try to change the game, and it's a 9.
Okay. Now, so what that'll be is that is a power 3 status that you are doing on her. And essentially it's enchained is the status that she has on her that she's going to have to deal with here. And what does that look like? What do we see? How does it actually hook and lock here?
So I think that probably Prometheus as a figure has always like it's almost like destiny is trying to chain him down. So like you almost see the chains like they kind of like glance off, but then wrap themselves around Prometheus, and like you see Medea fall and like get bound.
Okay. Yeah. And kind of clings, grabs up some of the stones and the bricks from the kiln to kind of pull in on her. And she does scream with rage. Grass cutter.
Okay. Man, I really burned everything on the last couple things.
Yeah. She's chained. She's going to try and break out of that. Dan's fallen back, arms burnt. You can see Kitsune's rolled up there and gotten her set and is up there in position, but could get hit at any moment.
And you burned Fury of the Gods, Kitsune?
I use We Stand United.
Yeah.
Oh,
so
okay.
I haven't burned that. You could burn that if you wanted.
Yeah, well, here's the question. Are we trying to take her out, or now's the time to talk? I think we're trying to take her out.
I'm trying to take her out.
Yeah, I stopped. Buy her dinner first. I'm going to. I'm just gonna try to give her a good slash with the sword.
Okay. So you're burning the Fury of the Gods then?
Yeah, I'm gonna use Fury of the Gods, and the sword has an indestructible tag.
Okay. Well, you don't use the tag on that because when you burn a thing, you just
you use it once.
3, but then you have 2 picks.
Okay. So I'm gonna use Fury of the Gods, and we're gonna go with there's no collateral damage, and you get them good.
Tell me what that looks like. She's got chain. Kitsune's kind of holding on. The chains are there. Dan's getting up from the ground. When you come in, what do we see? What does your sword look like when it goes through and kills Prometheus?
I think Kitsune is like, pardon me, barely holding on, and I rush into the room with the sword, and quickly scan and see what's going on. And I think I just rush up with the sword and run it through Midia's. We'll go with her. What, kidney? What is it in the myth? We'll go with the kidney or liver, depending on what.
Yeah, the liver. Yeah,
the liver. So I'll get right in the liver and pin her against the wall.
And that will hit, and those chains will tighten and hold her even as you break that story. That rift just shatters from your blow there, and kind of exhausts you from that. You'll feel that blowback, and doesn't catch the building on fire because you chose no collateral damage. And she kind of stands there for a second, and then you see the fire in her eyes go out.
Are you guys okay?
I can like let the chains go. And I'm like, I need a nap.
Yeah, this is going to take a little while to come back from. This shows you his stumps.
I think I go over and like stand over the body, and I'm just kind of like, I guess we killed her.
Now we take her to Rosopolis. I lost it already.
Is that what we're gonna do?
Rusopolis.
We're gonna
Rusopolis.
offer her body up as retribution for killing his son and his vulture dude.
It's our best shot at getting things straight, and you know.
Well, we can't stand another fight. So if Rosopolis could just try to kill us right then. Maybe we just leave a note.
You'll hear from back behind you.
I'm gonna warily turn around.
See this guy? Kind of stout. Got kind of this weird black beard. Kind of head's kind of shaven. Got a dark suit on. You haven't seen him before, and he'll say, so that was Prometheus?
Was being the operative word.
Kind of walks warily over towards you.
Who exactly are you? Like, I think you should introduce yourself.
I think I make sure that there's some lightning strikes outside from the storm just to show that we're not totally spent on this one. We could go.
He goes, so my brother called me in because somebody killed his son. So I came here to collect on things. But it looks like you've taken care of things already with Prometheus.
Yes, we did. And, you know, an enemy doesn't compare to a son, but it's the best we could do considering, you know, and it was just purely an accident with the son.
Oh yeah, these things happen. Heads go off. It happens all the time.
Yeah.
And then like Kitsune slides in and it's just like, no offense, man, but your brother has a lot of brothers, so who exactly are you?
He kind of turns and he looks at you and he goes, well, I'm the one who comes to collect the souls, which is why he called me.
Yeah, I saw you in a Disney movie once.
Don't ever say that. Because look, I don't particularly care for my brother. I don't particularly care to be called in. But a marker was called in. And now you have done some work for me. So how about you let me take Prometheus's soul, if such a thing exists. I can show it to my brother, and I can get everything calmed down.
That sounds great to me.
Does that mean he won't bear any grudges against Grandma? He'll be like on the level?
Well, I would definitely keep Grandma away from him.
We can do that.
But you know, I just think that we can do this, we can work it out, and then if at a later point you need help, I can help you out.
That sounds good.
Since there's like no clear leader, I think that like Kitsune is like, do I step forward? Do I not? And I'm like, can I agree to this for the group or not?
Sounds like a plan. Let's do it.
He looks at you, Grass Cutter, because you've kind of been quiet through this. He says, "Is that's cool? Are we cool on this?"
Yeah, I think so.
It's good, because you saved me a lot of work here.
Well, your brother has caused a lot of problems too, so we're square here, but maybe not in the future.
Hey,
But we're square here. That's the important thing.
oh yeah, no. If you guys want to, he says, if you guys want to take out Zeus, I got no skin in that game.
Well, he's down a son. So if he wants to come after us, then he knows what it's going to cost him. So if you just let him know that we're still open for business, then that should be enough.
That seems fair. I'll tell him you're dangerous and tell him not to fuck with you.
Great. So what do we do? Trade cell phone numbers? You text me, I text you back. Is that how it works?
He goes, I'll give you my card. And he will
always with the cards.
Hand you a business card. And he says, I'll take care of this. I'll get this cleaned up. If you three want to head out, I will consider us square.
So just like one more question, like what happens to all of the people she put the juice in? Are they going to just walk around like bombs until they blow, or like what's going on with that?
Well, you guys did the right thing. If you hadn't put the chain on her, I bet they all would have gone up. But as it is, that fire's extinguished in them. They're going to wake up tomorrow and they're going to go back to doodling or whatever, but they're going to be normal. Maybe something will stay in them, but for the most part, they're going to forget all this happened.
Okay, so this is meta. He was the guy in the van with his guys. Okay.
Yeah.
Good. All right. Okay, well, it's Miller time for me in more ways than one.
So let us ask that. What is the epilogue scene then for you in sort of the in the credits roll or the B-roll or the end scene? What do we see from you, Handsome Dan?
Handsome Dan just kind of is walking out and just kind of focusing as he gets his arms to grow back, and he walks into the public part of the bar, just sits down and give me a cold one.
Then realize there's nobody there, so you have to go behind the bar and pour it yourself. Absolutely.
Even better. Just reaches over.
Yeah. Promethean microbrew. It's all delicious. Very good. Little bite to it. Grass Cutter, what is our epilogue bit from you, either immediately or later on?
So I think this might be a couple weeks later. He is the camera pulls in. He's back at the Korean restaurant, and it's slowly being rebuilt. Like the roof is being patched, even as he has lunch or whatever. And he's drawing on a sketch pad. He's drawing a picture of Kitsune and Dan and X-Cal and Flicker, and he's trying to come up with a new comic book name. And he has like a long list, and he's crossing off each one. And he maybe he texts Excalibur and says, "What do you think about Fury of the Gods? Sounds great, right?"
Be that ... I think we cut out on just the ... of her answer. And what about you, Kitsune?
So it's actually back in the wine bar, and like it does the slow pan. Is like you see like Excalibur like glaring furiously at her phone, and then like it pans over, and like River is sitting there with Georgia, who has gotten a makeover and is now acceptable for Grams, and then like River is just kind of like he's like drinking a glass of wine. And he looks over at the bar, and like Adam sees him, and they kind of wave at each other, and it's just like to be continued.
So he kind of looks at you and then maybe does that sort of hesitant look away like he's embarrassed. And then we cut away from that. And that is our City of Mist game, everybody. Thank you very much for going along with me figuring this out and playing with the mechanics of the system here. If you don't mind, I'd like to take a few minutes to talk about things you liked, either system-wise or play-wise from this, since the kind of the stars thing, and see what it is that you dug. So let's start with you, John. Anything you want to point to that you particularly liked in game, or other people's play, or in the system?
I absolutely loved all the description that Gene gave of like his different effects. Just really good with like different descriptions, so it didn't look the same each time, and really using things in interesting ways. I really liked I'm sorry, how do you say your name? Daryl?
Daryl, yeah.
Daryl, I really liked your characterization, especially your scene with Adam, I think it was. That was really cool. And I like the construction of the characters, how it's like different elements. You're mixing the human elements and the mythos elements. I like that aspect of the way that the characters are built.
Mm-hmm. Gene, what about you? Anything you want to point to that you dug?
Yeah, there's plenty. Kitsune and Grasscutter just kind of, they had a really good relationship, even though they really didn't like each other, and that never came across that they actually did like each other, which I think is hard to do in RPG, because usually you end up liking the other person on the team, but it was a really interesting way to do that working relationship thing. Mm-hmm. Dan, you came in at exactly the right time. We really needed you, and it really came through for us in the last couple sessions. So that was super awesome. And I think, Lowell, you gave me an understanding of this game that I didn't have before, because I have run this.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I ran the quick start for some friends, and it was one of those things where even the trouble with the quick start is that it's too light on the rules. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? It's so simple that anyone can run it without it really getting an understanding of it. So I also like the fact that you shifted the story based on what we wanted. We went for a very specific thing, and I didn't expect you to really embrace it, but the story really got at the crew theme where we were going with it, and it was so good that I didn't even realize what was happening until like the second session. So it's very nice.
Yeah, well, I'll come back. I'll do my stars in a second, but I'm glad you dug that. Daryl?
I think I definitely agree with Gene. I really liked that the relationships all of the characters had with each other, like having Grasscutter and Kitsune be kind of like these like rivals who are on the same side was like a really great dynamic. And then of course I really loved like how I got to interact with Darren's character, even though he wasn't like half here. I think one of the other great things about the system was that it like really supported the ability for us to like kind of switch hit, like, you know, having John come in halfway through, like, and it didn't feel like weird or shoehorned in or anything like that. It was a very natural transition to like support like a new player coming in, and didn't feel like jarring or anything like that. I also really enjoyed like, again, the balance of like the fantastical or the mythic and the mundane. Like I was, and like it felt like you especially really made an effort to bring in like my mundane plots, which, you know, kind of were a little out of place, but you still found ways to hook them into the mystery, which felt good. And then like I just also really enjoyed the system because I haven't played this before, and I think that it's a really cool and interesting take on like the way you do like PbtA-esque kind of like stats and things like that. So I think that was a really great learning experience.
I want to say I was so happy we were able to bring back Adam at the end and that you're willing to roll with that, because I like that from the first bit, and I like that we had that a little bit throughout. And you know, it's interesting that Kitsune character is really challenging because you got so much of the mythic, and it was really cool to see it done with the human there. I really liked Grass Cutter, the concept, the character that you built. And the tools you gave me early on with the whole comic book thing, that gave me that to be able to play in and roll that out were super cool. And I like that character. He felt like the honorary outsider, without being debilitating to the group. You know, it felt like it really worked. So that was cool. And John, I appreciate you because you played one session with the other group, and then I threw you on the deep end in this. So I appreciate you being able to roll with that. I liked one of the things I was really uncertain about going into the game was how much characters would actually feel like they had a niche. And I think one of the things that was illustrated in play and people kind of leaning into their themes is that, yeah, Sean's character is a powerhouse, is a character that's really good in combat. Those tags play into that, into fighting, you know, has some other stuff, but can really do that rather than everybody kind of feeling equal. You know, it felt like people had a niche that they could lean into. And I kind of like that about the system. There's a lot of bits I like about it. I'm still getting used to it. The statuses are I find tracking those online is a pain, because the game actually wants you to do a lot more with statuses, and I was really dampening that down. But I think it was okay. I love the crew themes. I love the crew theme that you guys came up with because it gave me so much to work with. That modern gods thing. That's what I think. That's a great bit in the game. A great piece of tech. The whole mythic logo stuff. Anything else you want to say about the system? Things that you liked or disliked? Since I imagine maybe people might be watching this to kind of get a sense of what people thought of this. Gina, you've run it before. Did you run it face to face with the starter set or online?
I ran it online, but with a group that I'd played many games with.
Okay.
I think it's a tricky game because it actually resembles Fate a lot,
Yes.
as opposed to PbtA. And
That's why Rich Rogers hates it.
what, Fate or this game?
Oh, Rich Rogers hates Fate, so he didn't dig this when he played it with me.
Yeah. So it strongly resembles Fate in some ways. So it's a little weird to get into. I think just, you know, the graph over our game, it took us that first whole session to like kind of get our brains around it, and we only really hit our stride in terms of the system by the third session. So we're kind of poking around with the system and trying to understand how to use our tags the best. If there's one thing that would have been really interesting is if we all made characters, because we used the pre-gens that were interesting. I really wasn't sure if the character that I wrote was going to work because the rules are kind of nebulous that way. Yeah. They're not super well explained on how to make your own character. It's not like PbtA at all, where you could just kind of just choose one and you can go based on that. So I think it would have been really cool to see what, you know, the players could come up with character-wise.
Yeah, I think that's all true. It is a very nebulous but more detailed PbtA approach in some ways. John, any thoughts on the system?
The one thing for me is, you know, like you said, this character is really built to a niche of being the combat guy. So, you know, I tried to vary what tags I was using each time, and you know, by what the description is and everything. But it would be, you know, very easy to say I'm going to use these 3 tags over and over and over and over again. unless, you know, I absolutely need to go outside of it. So
Right.
if I was making this character, it probably would have been a little bit more broad.
Yeah, I definitely think that the pre-gens have a real focus to them.
Yeah. And I actually kind of like the I like the fadishness of it. But I would like the investigate sometimes a little bit hard because, you know, with other games, there's like, you ask these questions and it kind of gives you guidelines of where am I looking for, what am I doing, and this is kind of like ask anything and the DM's going to tell you something. So it's like, there's a million ways I can go. Whereas having a little bit more guidelines is helpful for, especially when you're trying to learn a system for the first time.
Yeah, you know, it would have been, I think, from how I could have handled that better would have been to go, okay, when you ask clues, think about other PbtA games and the kinds of questions that you can ask, and put that as a reference. Because I've done that with other games that have open-ended study things. So yeah, that's a really good point. Daryl, anything you want to say about the system?
I think my observations are basically kind of a fusion of the last two statements. Like, I think that the pre-gens were incredibly focused, and actually with Kitsune, I did use like the same like multiple tags like for the same kinds of actions over and over again. I also think that actually a dedicated like character creation session would be really great where everyone made their own characters, but then you could also probably work together to tie in a much more cohesive crew theme that would probably be really make it a lot easier for the MC to like run like whatever kind of story that they wanted that was like tightly tailored to whatever that theme was, because there was a lot of like divergence on the various things that we were all good at and like could do, and I think that we worked together to play with that. But like for instance, like it would have been like, how would you have kind of fit Flicker into that with the time travel and like the like cataclysms and things like that? Or like with Excalibur, like there's like all that stuff about her family that probably never would have kind of popped up. And so I think that like a better like not better, I guess is the wrong word, but like if you'd had like, you know, if in January, if you had like a 5-week session, and you could do like a dedicated character creation, I think that's probably really valuable.
Yeah. And I think now having seen people work through it, I was nervous about it because there are so many pages to go through to build a character and so much stuff to reference. I was worried about that at the table, but I think if that stuff, if I distributed that stuff ahead of time, it would have been doable. And now I know that that's the case. There are a couple of things we didn't see. We didn't get a chance to do any improvements on your side. Each one of the theme books has a set of picks for improvements that are kind of neat. We didn't see anybody burn out one of their theme books. There's a stop holding back move, which is essentially the overload move, which, because we're in the middle of running through things, I didn't want to introduce that at the end as a new mechanic, but it's an optional move, and you can burn out a theme book, which means you flip something. We had that happen in the other group where they burned out one of their like mortal identity things. So there's a bunch of tech that we didn't see. It is a game that I'm used to PbtA where I feel like you can kind of go a little bit on we set the incident and we roll with that. There's more to track on the GM side than your usual PbtA game. But it's supers, and I always expect supers to have more stuff to it, and I love superhero games. So thank you all for coming along and trying this out. I really appreciate it, and I loved all your characters. And I hadn't played with you for a long time, John. And
it was almost 6 months because I signed up for your January games that you know said if you haven't played within 6 months. I went back and looked. It's like June, I can do it.
And Gene, Daryl, this is the first time I got to play with either of you two, and you guys are great. You're super fun to play with. So I loved your characters, and I would absolutely play with you guys again in a heartbeat. I just want to say that since I had a very good time. And thank you very much. I'm going to stop the broadcast.